Welcome to Business Talk, Sister Gawk. I'm Becca, and today's podcast episode topic is business advice I wish I had a mentor tell me. This is part 2 in the series. If you missed the first one, you might want to go back and listen to it. This is just basically information regarding what I've learned over the years that I wish a mentor would have told me. And this is for informational purposes or educational purposes. I don't know your specific situation or what's going on in your life. So it's very important for you to consult professionals about your specific situation to ensure this information is helpful to you. Okay, so the first thing I wish a mentor told me earlier was the fear of rejection is basically equivalent to saying no for someone else. And that to me, I didn't realize actually what that meant until one day I was like, well, I just want to do this, blah, blah, blah. Well, did you ask them? Well, no. Well, why not? Well, because I don't know. And as people, like mentors in my life kept saying, did you ask about that or whatever? I kept getting this, don't ever say no for someone else. Always ask. Just put it out there and see what they think. But before you ask, this is what I would also recommend is think of every possible reason why they would say no and have a solution to those problems prepared so that your idea or proposal is well thought through. If you're having trouble thinking of why they would say no, you can always ask AI. You can get like on Chat GPT or whatever. But I would say if this is like a brand new idea and nobody else has ever done it before, maybe not be super specific on what your plan is because that gets put in its data learning system and, maybe someone will take your idea later. So just kind of think about how you use the AI or get industry specific about like, hey, this is a question I have. I think it's a great place to ask what concerns would be out there or what's my liability under these things. I ask those kind of questions all the time that when it comes to industry, just to get some other feedback before I move on to the next stage of getting ready to make my ask of somebody. And I think that like that aspect of fearing what people will say and everything is so true in my own life that I have learned, okay, I can't say no for somebody. I should just ask and see what they say. And if they say no, it's not going to hurt my feelings and it shouldn't because I want to make sure that like I give that person space to have the ability to say no, and it's not going to hurt our relationship. But I think that it's so important to ask because even if it's not in this moment, but you say, this is what I'm passionate about, or I'd love to do this. If ever you had time and you wanted to do it together, let me know, or something like that. People get excited about that, and then when an opportunity does arise, or maybe if it's not a good fit for them, they may tell you, you know what, I don't think I can do that, but maybe such and such does because they also are passionate about that too. Why don't you go talk to them? And you can build a lot of networking with that kind of excitement of just like being ready to ask questions or say, would you ever consider this? And honestly, I remember when I was looking to be in a specific area, of a town and I wanted to be there like where I am now. I love where I am. But at this time I was just trying to figure that out. And I actually went to a couple business owners and I remember like you just gotta ask. And I just said, hey, if you guys ever think about retiring, I would love to be on the list of people that you think about to sell your business. And they kind of looked at me like shocked and they were like, well, we're not planning on retiring anytime soon. And I said, yeah, no, that's totally fine. I'm not expecting you to. But if ever you were to consider it, I would love to be one of the people you think about. And I don't know where that opportunity is going to go, but you know what? I asked. And if it ever turns into something, like I know I'm on their short list. And so just stuff like that, I think is important to realize that if you have a dream, like don't say no for somebody else. Just build the relationship and say, hey, this is what I have to offer. And it may be even in like the sales capacity of like, have you ever considered doing something where this is possible? And here's another example of that. I thought, what if we could like make our downtown more walkable and make it where people are excited about being in our area. What can I do that would like really encapsulate more opportunity for artists in our community and make this like a place people want to go to see stuff? And so we just decided like to create this program called the Window Gallery program. And essentially what I tried to think about was, well, what are all the reasons somebody would say no to me? They maybe don't want the liability of somebody else's art in their building. What if somebody steals it? What if it gets damaged because the roof leaks or whatever? And I just said, okay, well, if that's going to be an issue people are concerned about, they're going to say no, then I'm going to make sure that the liability waiver that the artist fills out for the application process is going to say you're waiving the right to go talk to the business owner if damage happens to your art. Like, you got to have your own insurance if you want it or whatever. Like, you're willing to have your stuff displayed there knowing that they don't have control over acts of God or of theft or all these different things. And so I put that in the contract so there would be no liability to the business owner. And what other things would people say no to me about? To say, no, we don't want you to have our front window space. And I just kept thinking of different things. And then I put it all together of like, well, no, because I don't want to manage artists coming in and talking to me. No problem. We will handle that. Tell them not to talk to you. Talk to us. And so we started building that so that basically one of the things that we started seeing with business owners was that they actually did have a lot of people randomly asking them to put stuff in their windows all the time, like whether it's a poster or whether it's like their artwork, all this stuff. And people feel bad saying no. They don't like saying no. But at the same time, then it becomes this issue for them of, well, why is it this person I said yes to, but not this person? And then they could potentially hurt their reputation in the community because somebody's upset with them. And there's all of a sudden this liability for saying yes to one person over another. So how do you get rid of that liability? Well, you give it to somebody else. And so that's what I started doing, is like creating a opportunity for them to pass off that no or that yes to somebody else, but still participate in a way where they can be excited about contributing to the community, and it's at no cost to them to be a part of the program. So before I even asked them, hey, do you want to be a part of this window gallery program? I built the entire thing. I built the contract for the artists. I built the application program for them to be a part of it and what they're agreeing to and all that kind of stuff. And so that alone, before I even got there, I had all the information ready for them so that if they did say yes, I was prepared. And it's been such a fun process to see people get excited about, yeah, we want more art downtown. Yeah, we would be excited about that. And even like other people in the community, government and whatever else being like, hey, we want to know more about what you're doing. That is exciting to me because, I mean, I didn't really start out to try to do that, but it just seemed like a great way to like involve other people in the community. And also I kept seeing that people were having issues with, they would ask and they couldn't get in because people didn't feel comfortable. There wasn't a level of trust there. Or honestly, a lot of people ask and they don't even show you what their artwork looks like. So you don't even know if it's going to be quality or even what they're going to be displaying. And so I was able to say, hey, my program, I have a vetting process. We want to make sure the work is professional. We want to make sure that there's agreement to specific things. We don't do any themes about politics or nudity or death, because we want it to be like accessible to everybody and everybody to feel comfortable and be family friendly. And as soon as you have those things lined up and people don't have to think through all of those steps because you've already covered it, the no's go away. And people just are excited that somebody else did the work to make something cool that they can participate in and not have to worry about what could go wrong. And so I'm just saying, like, do that more. And if you're wondering, how can I show my art in your window gallery program? Great question. We're still getting the rest of the business owners to give us their paperwork back, and then we're going to be starting that process. We do have a couple tests that we're doing right now with a couple storefront windows, and we're going to have a website link where people can like apply. And then we'll have a process of reviewing their work and deciding the spaces that we have and the size space that's available for them. So that's just me taking that experience from a lot of years ago of a mentor being like, hey, like I wish that mentor would have told me sooner, because I would have probably taken way bigger risks. I'm like, oh, what about this? Would you guys consider doing that or whatever? And now, like, I'm thankful that that mentor did tell me that later in life, and now I do those things. And you know, quite honestly, I don't really know how the art gallery window display thing is gonna go, but you know, it's a good experiment, and I'm really excited to do it because I think that it'll allow more opportunity for public display of art and add a portfolio piece to many artists saying, yes, I was exhibited here, and give them a lot more substantiation for applying for different grant opportunities and residencies and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just excited about that. Like, okay. So another thing that I wish a mentor would have told me sooner is always get more than one quote. And I mean, like, when you are getting a project done or bidding something out or figuring out if you can get services for something, always get more than one quote. Listen to different people and let them pitch you on what they can do for you. Because what I have learned, and this was actually excellent advice that I actually learned from Bob Descartes, who used to be the president of Stormy Cromer, which is a clothing company in northern Michigan. And he's just fantastic, by the way. We did some podcasts together back in the day, and you should check them out. It's the series called How to Be a Good Mentee. And he said some really amazing things about mentorship. And one of the things he told about was always go and get lots of ideas from different companies. If you want to do marketing, go to multiple marketing companies and say, hey, this is my business. I'm looking for some marketing services, and let them pitch you on what they can do for you. Because then you get all of these ideas, and maybe some of those ideas you can go and implement yourself and you don't have to pay anybody, but like you get a perspective on like, here's your brand, this is what's valuable about you. Wow, I didn't even know that. Like, or here's how you could leverage these different places you should be found, and all of this kind of stuff. I think that's so fantastic. Like, you get these perspectives, and maybe you do pick somebody and say, yeah, you know what, do that for me. But at the same time, they're going to have a different view of your business or your project than you have of yourself. And you need those opportunities to see beyond just you. And if you can have somebody do that in a sales pitch, then you're getting that perspective for free because they're trying to sell you on something. And I hate this and I love this when it comes to grants, because if it's like a grant that says you have to have more than one bid on your construction project or whatever, I'm like, now I gotta go find 3 different contractors that are gonna maybe not get the work. 2 of them are not out of the 3, because usually with grants it's like you pick the cheapest one or whatever. But anyways, so like I have to get all these people to come in and quote me on this project. But you know what? I also love it, because when I say this is what I want to do, every single expert comes in and they give me a different perspective about what they're thinking about for my project. And they say, well, what if you did this? Or what if you move that drain here? Or how about we just like drill through this? That's not a problem. And you're like, oh, I didn't even think about that. That is a good point. How am I going to manage that? I have no idea. What do you think? And it also helps you in the process of realizing that you may have even more problems than you realized, and you got to go back to the drawing board. So I think getting those perspectives is good. I've had opportunities to learn so much and build some really good relationships with vendors because I've had them come in and pitch me on things. And I'm like, you know what? I wasn't able to get this project for you. I'm sorry. But I'll call you next time if it seems like a really good fit. And I've been able to learn a lot of just personalities within the industry and who does what well and what their skill sets are. And I know I'm going to call this person when I need this kind of project done. And this person's fantastic at this. Like, everybody has their own niche within a trade or within the arts or like in their service providing that they're passionate about. Even accountants, they get passionate about specific things and not other things. So it's good to get all of those perspectives and quotes because it'll really help you not only get the best price, but also understand who's in the industry and what they have to offer and when you may need them. Okay, so then the next piece of advice, and I'll probably do this one as my last one for this episode, but this is something that I wish somebody would have told me a long time ago, like just to be able to call it out easier and faster before I ever got to a place where it would be unhealthy. But when you are fearful about money, it will come out in how you run your business in unhealthy ways. And also unhealthy ways for how you treat those closest to you. If you don't know the answer, do not fear. Because when you start to fear, first of all, you cut off your ability to be creative and think critically because you're going into fight or flight. And you are not using your logic processing center because you can't access it when you are in fight or flight, when you are afraid. And it also makes you think that there's no way out. And then you start the fight part of reacting to things rather than being proactive and strategic and visionary about where you're going. Let it go. Sometimes it's really scary when you put yourself in positions where you think you thought you had something going and you're losing a contract or you're like not getting all of your product to where it's supposed to go and it keeps breaking in the mail. I've been there. I have had wholesale orders get mashed by a forklift and the postal service say that's not our problem even though it's still at their warehouse. And you're just like, how do I fight this massive organization on the fact that they're not gonna do anything about the fact that they just destroyed my stuff? That can cause you to be fearful and to be frustrated. But if you don't let that go, it's going to be really hard to get out of that box. And you're going to feel discouraged to the point that you may not keep going with that thing, or you're going to pivot and never do that again. And I mean, for those of you who want to know, don't ship to Seattle. But anyways, so let it go. Do what you can each day just to get there, and just go to bed that night and rest. Because in the morning, after a good night's sleep, you're going to have more ideas and more thoughts about how you could change something, or maybe a couple people that you think, oh, maybe they would know and I could call them. And if you do reach out to people, the Small Business Administration, for example, has counseling support, and they have a lot of stuff on trainings you can access online that maybe you couldn't just see, you have to, they're password protected or whatever, and you can say, hey, do you have anything on this? Or they can connect you with a technical assistance person that can help you with a specific area. Or maybe there's even a local class that they're putting on with some funding to do improving your numbers or understanding your cash flow. And also, I don't think anybody really talks about this, but SCORE mentors, they are part of the SBA technically at the federal level. And you can get a SCORE mentor that can connect you with somebody that has the answer to your problem. And I just actually had a SCORE mentor meeting where my SCORE mentor connected me with another mentor specifically in the space that I wanted to be in for e-commerce. And what about this? I've never done this before. How do I do this piece of getting something to go from here to there? And what is the industry standards are actually really hard to find sometimes within certain industries. And my SCORE mentor was able to tell me, hey, in the cosmetic space, expect to spend 50% of the price of the item on marketing. It is that competitive. I was like, whoa. And just in case you're wondering, no, I am not coming out with a cosmetic product. But that was an interesting fact. But just having people who are in the industry or retired and used to work in that, and they know a ton about scaling businesses or being in a specific niche market, getting their info is super, super important. and like their knowledge. And you can do that through the SCORE program. Get mentors, ask people. If you're stuck, don't shut down and become a hermit, because then you will fail. Try to see who you can leverage, and do not freak out, because fear about money is gonna hurt your business and how you treat other people in business as well. So just think about those things and realize that if it's starting to rise, now's a good time to take a break and do something else. Go for a walk, drink some water, take a nap. There's all these things you can do to de-stress and then come back at it in a different way. And sometimes it's just like, you know what? I need to just go get a cup of coffee with somebody because I'm just really hitting a wall. And there's lots of people that would be willing to do that with you if you just seek those mentors out. And I'm going to come back to the tip before this: never say no for somebody else. So actually call them and ask them. And that's really what I think is important with that. So I'm going to transition to the Gawk portion of this episode. And I'm going to tell you a quick story about my space here in Chisholm. So I have been working on doing a lot of different things with resident artists and trying to understand like different opportunities locally that we can maximize people and what they're doing in the community to showcase it, all that kind of stuff. So right now, I have a resident artist named Jenny who is fantastic. Like she like activates that entire part of my brain of creativity to the point that I literally have to be like, okay, Jenny, like I have to get stuff done now because we have such a great time together and it's so fun. But if you have never met Jenny and you're like, man, I want to know what's going on with Diletto and what's happening at the art gallery, well, you should really follow us on Instagram, because I'm about to put out some really hilarious content with Jenny and I am really having a fun time with it. And if you don't follow us online, you should. It's BTSG podcast _Diletto art. And we are having such a great time experimenting with things and doing art and laughing, and you're missing out. So if you want to be in our community online, you should totally do that. Just follow us. And we're excited to have an opportunity to have a resident artist here. And if you have ever considered being an artist, you should really take that rabbit hole into residencies, because that is a whole nother world of exciting things. Like, did you know you could go and be a resident artist for the national parks? And you can live in a national park and work specifically on your art while you're there. Like there's a program for that. You just got to apply. Like amazing. There's so many cool things. If I would have known this before I had a herd of children, my life would be so different. And so you should definitely check those things out. Or if you know somebody who could benefit from that, you should tell them. Well, if you have enjoyed this episode, you should give it a review wherever you are listening. And I will see you in the next one.